Hey guys, welcome to the fourth episode. No, hang on, the third episode of the Kenobi Shobi, where we are reviewing the fifth episode of the show because we missed episode 3, and 1 and 2 were one episode.
The third episode where we review the fourth part 4 because the first 2 were 1, and
This is
we got lost somewhere where we don't know where we are now.
Apologize. Spoiler
Oh,
review
no.
of Shinobi the Kobe.
Welcome to the Obi-Wan Kenobi review show, where we try to figure out technical support, technical issues on the fly, because that's what we come here for. And as I was giving that glowing introduction of our own show, I appreciate Mr. Garth McMurray, who donated to the show, even though we didn't hear it because I can't figure out the audio.
Wait, hang on. Let's pretend like we know what's going on. Bing! Did you, Sean? I think we might have gotten a Streamlab.
Oh my, we have a Streamlab. Garth, thank you, buddy. We appreciate you chipping in. Speaking of celebrities following you on Twitter, I know Patty Jenkins, and she follows me. You know her, and she follows you. Okay. The best was when Mike Kalinowski posted a video of crying with joy watching Wonder Woman 1984. I remember that. It was the jet scene when the fireworks going off. Remember that video. And I retweeted it, and Patty retweeted it too. Mike was so happy. I bet. Yeah.
So we just need to cry more
dream
often.
come true for Mike. I
have on my old YouTube channel a video of me watching one of the first Justice League trailers. And I'm crying watching it.
You're like, oh no.
No, it was before all the drama, when it was still it was before Joss had even touched it. And it was like the first announcement trailer or something, I think.
Okay.
And yeah, I just thought it was so pretty, and my hype was so high that I definitely cried. And that exists on the internet, so.
Well, all right.
Maybe I just hashtag that and get Twitter famous.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. Retweet it, drudge it up from the old times.
This overlay tells me we're supposed to be talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi.
We probably should be talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi. Fabian, what'd you say? You're behind on Kenobi movie group meets on Tuesday and watch the stuff until Thursday.
That sucks.
Okay, so you're one episode behind. Is that what I'm getting from that? So basically, you just missed this week.
Here's the good news. We are probably only going to take 10, maybe a little over 10 minutes to discuss
maybe less.
Episode. Yeah. So if you need to hop out, pop back in, we understand. We don't want to spoil it for you. And then we will be talking about Miss Marvel a little bit after that. So hopefully you're caught up.
And then whatever else.
Yeah.
But let's hop into it. So, I think that this episode was probably the best of the series, if I'm being honest.
See, that is something we can agree on. I do think it was the best.
And I quite enjoyed at least the first episode very much, more than I think a lot of other people. And sorry for all the noise. My wife doesn't know boundaries. The difference between, I think, that what we expected and what we keep getting week to week is I'm so done with the Leia storyline. Like, it was cool for like an episode, and then we're like, all right, cool, let's rescue her and move on with literally anything else. But no, we're just
like Obi-Wan's trying to make Leia Obi's Grogu.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that the more and more we watch this, the more I think that I'm assuming, or maybe we're realizing, that this was essentially a movie that was pulled out into 6 episodes, because this would be fine as a 2-hour movie. Here's a movie about Obi-Wan going on a rescue mission.
2 hours on the long end.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there, and that's the movie, is he has to rescue Leia. Okay, cool. We got about a 2-hour 15-minute movie, and he went on this mission. But no, this is 6 episodes being drug out over 40 minutes an episode, and
it's like,
so you keep having to explain all the parts you would have just montaged over or skipped through, which is we rescued her. All right, mission's over. No, now we have to go back to the spaceport where we have to wait for these people to Why are we waiting for these people? Because we have to wait for Leia. We all have to escape together. Yeah, it'd be weird if we had two ships ready to go and we could have evacuated all these people before someone showed up to destroy the second ship.
It is one of the weird things we're kind of facing with 6 episodes is we get caught between, does this feel like a dragged out movie or too short of a series? Like with Moon Knight, for me, I felt like it was too short. It didn't feel like a movie that was stretched out. So far, Obi-Wan feels like it's got at least an hour of filler in it, and it could have been condensed. Hawkeye did not need to be a show. I think that could have been like a tight 90-minute movie. So, yeah, but highlights, there is some of the best action in this episode of any of the episodes of Obi-Wan. The stuff we get with Vader is not only some of the cool stuff in this series, but probably some of the coolest Vader stuff we've ever gotten. And I think one of the reasons that I always come out of these episodes saying kind of either meh or I'm still conflicted is it feels like a roller coaster of how I'm feeling about it. You know, it goes high, but it doesn't have a lot of middle ground. It's just like either like that was so cool, and then seconds later I'm like, why is that so dumb? And it's just it feels like there's a lot of things that aren't well thought out, and you know, it's not to always compare things to each other, but like with Marvel, I feel like a lot of times they're keeping their audience in mind and not just taking advantage of them. And I feel like Star Wars at times, at least the current like Disney saga of it, is taking advantage of Star Wars fans in the way that they figure you are a fan of Star Wars, so you will enjoy this. And I feel like there was some,
you'll look past the negatives to just enjoy. Hey, look, we're giving you Star Wars.
Like we're not allowed to have the same expectations, which I think is BS. Because just because something is genre does not mean that we can have the same expectations we have of other films. Like Lord of the Rings, it's fantasy. It's elves and goblins and ghouls and dragons and stuff.
My.
Yeah, but it's one of the most epic, fantastic examples of storytelling out there. Marvel is exceedingly gets in touch with our emotions, and the action has you at the edge of your seat a lot of the time. And I just feel like this series feels a little hollowed out to me, whether it's the music not always hitting, but I felt like the music was better in this episode than it has been the last couple.
Sure.
Which is, saying something. And because it's only 6 episodes, there are emotional beats here with some of the new characters and stuff like Tala that I felt like we were supposed to feel really emotionally engaged in. And it's, if you wanted to do that, then you should maybe have done more episodes, but it feels like you didn't have enough ideas for more episodes.
I definitely felt emotionally engaged, at least in that part. That was probably the most part of it. But more so for the droid, which maybe is telling, I guess. I don't. It was definitely sad that Tala was like, "Oh, I'm sacrificing myself. I'm going down for the cause," type of thing. But it was the way they played the droid, and I think that Star Wars has done like just such a bang up job over the course of Rogue One and Solo of like giving droids these. I guess for lack of a better term, human, qualities where you feel so much empathy and for exactly what they're about to go through and sacrifice themselves for, with K2 and with L3 as well. And I don't remember the droid designation in this guy, but without saying a word, he had such personality from like the first time we saw him in episode 2, I think. And we only saw him a handful of times, but they did a great job. And then, he goes down protecting his person long enough for, her to pull out a grenade. And
thermal detonators, sir. If
it went boom.
It did go.
It go boom. And she went boom. And they both went boom. It was a boom.
That's right. Garth has it. It's Ned B.
Ned B. Yeah. Ned 8, or was it Ned B? It's just Ned B. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I thought that was definitely, you know, one of the more emotional parts of the show. And then you had a just a wicked scene with freaking Vader and Reva uh toying with her. Like she cannot hold a candle to the strength of Vader at this point in his life and his, you know, terror reign through the galaxy,
You
because
know,
he was just throwing her around like a rag doll and just going, oh look, you have two lightsabers and they spin, that's so cute. And then he's like, I'll take that,
Reva
snapping it in
and
half. It was dope.
Reva and Vader is kind of the pinnacle of my example, because like the fight itself is very cool, but you think about like she has spent years plotting and planning the perfect moment to take advantage of Vader, to take him out, and you know she's been very crafty and convincing, and then she gets him and she pulls the lightsaber up and just screams. And I'm like, are you an idiot? You're an idiot. And I think they could have done that without it. Like she could have just been walking up to him and he could have froze her in her spot and said, your thoughts betray you. That's it.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
we would have been like, okay, we get that,
Yeah,
before she had a chance to act.
right.
And that's what I'm talking about. I feel like occasionally they're kind of trying to dumb it down. And I'm like, please
if
don't do that.
if I'm a ninja sneaking up on you from behind, and moments before I strike, I go, ninja.
Right.
Attack. Moments before it happens. Yeah, maybe I failed at my job. Please. I deserve whatever is coming next to me.
There's just a lot of like, outside of Vader, the incompetence of the Inquisitors, the Stormtroopers, any dark force in the show gets me a little frustrated. Whether it be
Sure.
A trooper getting their helmet slapped in the last episode, or having, I don't know what, 50 troopers shooting into an enclosed space and hitting two people. It's frustrating. It's hard to feel the tensity or any sense of dread when it's so silly.
I can't disagree.
I'm
I
just
don't know.
surprised with
I
something that's been in
I
development this long that it is not more polished.
um I I want to say, like, I don't know. I think it's easy to get caught up, swept up in like the overwhelming opinions about this show and the negativity aspect of it. When there is a lot to enjoy, it just seems to be overlooked, easily overlooked. The enjoyment parts of it,
Sure.
and it's maybe just funner to
Was,
kind of
was
like
I
tease and shit on it.
was I very happy to have that little flashback strewn throughout the episode with Hayden and Ewan?
Yeah.
I was. Did I find it interesting that they didn't seem to de-age Hayden Christensen? Yeah.
Did you?
And what's that?
I said, did you find it interesting?
I did. I was like, that looks like a 40-year-old man playing late teenager, early 20s.
Yeah, he's supposed to be, what, it's been 10 years at that point. It's right before probably Attack of the Clones because he still had his arm. So,
I'm glad you noticed that
yeah.
detail too. That's how I figured out my timing. I was like, he has
Yeah.
both hands.
He's supposed to be like 19, 20 years old, basically. Yeah.
It says they removed some wrinkles. Maybe.
It didn't bug me. I watched the episode on first watch, doing multitasking, so I wasn't actually like staring and like analyzing and pressing pause and, you know, analyzing every wrinkle. He looked fine. The choreography was good.
It started on a high for me because like I texted Lauren and said, when you get around to watching this, you're going to be very happy the first 30 seconds. It didn't like maintain that, and it did make me want more. And I think, and this is their fault, they have leaned on Hayden Christensen in the marketing so hard. And I'm like, you know, it would have been great if you didn't say a damn thing.
Yep.
And then we wouldn't have this Hayden Christensen expectation.
I think a lot of this show has been marred by expectations.
Yeah. And I think some of that is our fault, but some of it is their fault.
Yep.
This has been something that has been like in production or production hell for what feels like 5 or 6 years. Is it going to be a movie? Is it going to be a series? And then there was a lot of stuff coming out about it having a lot of rewrites, and yeah, it's just a little messy.
Was it this show or which show was it where it was like, oh, the writer, it was this show because they were going to include Darth Maul, where they're like, the writer never watched Rebels or something like that, right? Before the show had come out, there was all these news stories about, oh, the writer said they never even watched Rebels and they're just writing this show. It's like, well, you're missing a whole lot of like current storyline canon stuff that everyone's going to tear apart if you're not. And I think that they left in maybe a lot of what, you know, the last person, it's because I don't want to say they walked themselves out of a corner, because they had this, of course they had to have this all written before they started filming anything, but they did the whole thing with the Reva becoming the Grand Inquisitor, and then boom, they're taking it back from her. It's like, all right, so
there's a little bit of one step forward, 2 steps back, plot wise, a few different times in the show, whether it be like Leia's kidnapped, we got her, she's kidnapped again, or Reva's the Inquisitor, she killed the Inquisitor, Inquisitor's back, she's not the Inquisitor. And so like when you look at like the arcs per character and like what's happening, it's a little bit of treading water.
Yeah. Well, and because she was, aside from the turn in this episode, she was succeeding in tracking down not only Obi-Wan, but the whole I think they're called the Path. Right?
Yeah. Well, the Path is what they use to get him to Jabiim.
So she succeeded in her mission by planning a tracker and finding them. And she, you know, Vader's just focused on Obi-Wan. That's all he cares about. But she was actually doing more than that. She was getting all the rebels, you know, corralled up essentially. And then that was, you know, so she was actually like achieving her goal more than I think we realized that Grand Inquisitor actually did.
Garth says, I didn't like the old villain thing of stabbing Reva once and then walking away. Finish her off. She's totally going to come back. Yeah, dude, she stabbed you and you came back.
All right.
So,
and you know what's a good motivator? Revenge. Just like the revenge you're going to want to take out on me now that we've stabbed you and left you here.
So the Sith have proven if you're pissed off about getting stabbed, you'll probably be okay.
Or cut in half.
Qui-Gon was not angry enough about getting stabbed.
Yeah.
Are they going to cram everything we're waiting for into the last episode?
Maybe.
Are we getting Qui-Gon? Are we getting the real like Vader Obi-Wan fight? I would imagine, because the concept art that they showed looked like it was on Mustafar, possibly.
Maybe
it looked lava-y.
Maybe. I think either way we have one more. I hope they don't do a short episode. Like didn't they do that for Boba Fett, right? Wasn't it like the shortest episode of the season or something like that? I hope they just flesh it out. They finish it off, but don't drag it out too. So only flesh it out if you have that much story to tell. Just give us a knockdown, bang out episode, and how they stick the landing will tell a lot about the series as a whole.
I agree with that.
And we've talked about it a little bit when Doctor Strange came out. I went back and binged WandaVision, which I had not seen since it was released week to week. And I wasn't as high on it, right? I wasn't as enthralled with WandaVision when it was going week to week. But watching it as a binge model, that show worked way better for me, binging through it, than it was like a 4.5 hour movie versus a week to week with speculation. And so maybe this series will do the same in retrospect, watching it on a binge model where you don't have to pay attention to every single scene, just the important ones. And you can leave it playing while you get up and go grab a drink or something like that type of thing. You know what I mean? Or even just skip through some of the fluff. There's so many fucking great editors out there in the internet. Like they're going to easily, bring this together, chop it down, and make a nice 2.5 hour movie out of this type of thing.
Get Topher Grace to do it. He already did it with the prequel movies.
Did he do that? Yeah. I know it's out there. I didn't know that was him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I will. I don't know if I'll say eagerly, but I'm curious what the next episode will bring, and how everything will wrap up. Because uh, I don't know if this is a hot take, but I'm starting to feel like the farther John Favreau and Dave Filoni get from some of the individual projects, the more they tend to suffer. And I think that it's really proving that they are the magic behind the Mandalorian.
You don't think that they have had enough involvement in this show, basically?
Or Boba Fett, because Boba
Yeah,
Fett was being showrun by
Rodriguez.
Robert Rodriguez, and the show's being run by Deborah Chow, who did great in Mandalorian. And I'm starting to think maybe she did great in Mandalorian under the tutelage or guidance of Favreau.
Sure.
Because it seems like when she's the main voice, maybe it's not, it's a little directionless, but this could also be over her head. There's a lot of things going into this, and I think Star Wars has had a little bit of directionless, like, in general.
Okay. Let me ask you one last thing then about Reva, because I watched a bunch of review shows, and one of which is Christian Harloff when he does his Obi-Wan reviews on the big thing or whatever the show is called that it's just a review show, but he's been convinced since day one that they're doing this whole turn on Reva, right? Reva. I don't think so. I think she has just been purely, revealed in the last episode that she's just in it. She has her own motivation. That's it. She is just in it for herself. Obviously, she wanted to raise through the ranks. Now we know why she wanted to rise through the ranks, and it's to get close and try to kill Vader. But I don't think she's doing a good side, face turn. I think she is
I think
just
I
going
agree
to.
with you.
Yeah, I think she's just in it for herself. She's in, not to say it's selfish, but she's at her own desires. She's not going to face. It doesn't have to be good or evil. She's just going to go, okay, yeah, no, I turned evil, but I still want to accomplish my own goals at whatever cost is going to come of it. And whether I die doing it or not,
I'm
maybe
really
I'll help
curious.
Obi-Wan, but it's not a redemption arc, in my opinion.
I think you might be right, and I'm really curious what we end up doing on Tatooine, because there's a lot of things that are kind of going to be going on this next episode.
Yeah.
And we know Luke's not going to see a lightsaber because he has never seen a lightsaber. That's something we know from New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
And so Reva's not going to get to him. Vader's not going to get to him. I don't know how much Luke we're actually going to get to see in the next episode. I don't know how they're going to resolve the Reva story. Does she try to fight Vader again? I feel like that'd be a little silly.
Maybe. What flashbacks? Am I missing something? Did I miss?
So right before she gets stabbed by Vader, it flashes to her as a kid also getting stabbed.
Oh, I thought. See, maybe I missed the scene then. Maybe, like I said, I was doing something else. Maybe I missed the scene.
It's like a blink. It's like 2 seconds. It shows little her reacting to getting stabbed.
Yeah, I saw that part. I saw her looking up, but I thought, and then she says that she hid. It covered in blood, and she hid and pretended she was dead.
Well, this is actually in the Vader fight.
Yeah,
like right before Vader stabs her, it shows her as a little kid getting stabbed at the same time.
Interesting. I'm gonna go back and watch it.
There you go. Yeah, but that kind of wraps up my thoughts. I know Sean was worried about me hate bombing, and I hope it doesn't come across like I'm just full of hate and rage. It's not even Obi-Wan like story expectations. There's just like some filmmaking things and questionable decisions, and I want to expect high quality from all the genre fare that I ingest.
Yeah.
Anybody, share your thoughts on Obi-Wan down in the comments below. This is a full spoiler cast, so if you guys want to talk spoilers, you can talk spoilers. What's your letter grade for it? Give it A, B, F? I don't know.
The show itself?
Yeah.
Okay, I see the scene now. Okay, you see Anakin lunging into her.
Yeah.
And it's cutting back and forth. Okay, I get it. I saw this part. Maybe I just didn't stick in my brain.
It didn't register with me right away.
Yeah.
Until people start bringing it up.
I guess so, yeah.
Sean,
letter grade for that episode?
Oh, that too.
Is that where 7 out of 10.
What's funny about that is I think I I saw what do you give it on YouTube on like a poll. I think I gave it a B.
Yeah. So 8 out of 10.
Yeah.